Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Okay, this morning the House of Reps will be holding a live debate, so we'll be going there very, very shortly. And it's on, they've invited the National Communications Commission to join them to look at the feasibility of, electronic transmission of results, which, as you know, has become something of a real, big debating point, and tempers are high. So there we are. We're right in the House of Reps now. It's live, and maybe you can just catch a bit of what's going on, and then come back to studio.
From the questions asked, forgive me, honourable members, I'm not used to this. Mr. Speaker, sir, from the line of questioning, I feel that largely there are technical issues. So with Mr. Speaker's kind permission, I will hand over to the Executive Commissioner for Technical Services, Engineer Ubani Maska, to deal with the majority of these questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, ECSN. Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, good morning. I must confess I didn't catch portions of the question, so what I will crave your indulgence is to permit me answer those I've heard correctly, and then you will kindly remind me of any that I may have missed out, please. The first refers to whether the Commission has done any analysis on network coverage nationwide in respect of either captured or uncaptured, which I take to mean probably served or unserved areas. And then the second member followed up that with requiring to know if this can be broken down into states. I must say here that yes, we have this data. We have it nationwide, we have it on state basis, and we have it even on the basis of services, whether it is 2G, 3G, 4G, that's LTE. We have all this analysis. The second question refers to the possibility of hacking. Yes.
Before you go to that, yes. I believe the question the Chairman Communications asked was that if you have the analysis, and I think the follow-up question, with that, not to waste time, is that can you tell us about your analysis and what the coverage is?
All right, sir. He asked if we have it, so I just said yes. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. We did an analysis of network coverage, and I like to venture here to say probably what the question wanted to know was probably in respect of if we did anything maybe preparatory to the elections. We did in 2018 conduct network coverage studies in respect of all polling units in the country. We found out we had about 119,000 polling units, about 119? 119. We were able to get the coordinates of about 109,000, and we plotted this across the map of the country, and we superimposed on it the network coverage we had, service-wise. We plotted 2G coverage, 3G coverage, and LTE coverage. And we were able to see that about half of the polling units were covered with 2G/3G services. That is both 2G and 3G services. Roughly about 50.3% of those. Then about 49.7% did not have any coverage at all, or had only 2G. All right. Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to the next question, let me be clear.
Yes, sir.
Let me be clear. You conducted an analysis of coverage nationwide in 2018.
Yes, sir.
And from your analysis, we had about 119,000 polling units.
Yes, sir.
and out of the 119, you said 49 point something. Let's just round it up to 50%.
Okay.
Had coverage, and 50% did not have coverage. Is that your testimony?
50% had 3G coverage and 2G together. About 49 point something percent had only 2G, and about 8,000 polling units had none at all.
Okay.
About 8,000 polling units.
Okay, this for some of us that are not technologically savvy, what we're trying to find out is for the purpose of transmission of votes. When you say 2G, when you say 3G, is 2G, can this exercise be done by 2G?
Thank you, Chairman, sir. I wish INEC were here to actually take this question, because I would be venturing out to say things perhaps that are not really under the mandate of NCC. From a personal standpoint, from what I could tell of what is required, it's only 3G that could give that kind of cover. I mean, that could give that kind of transmission.
Okay.
In full, I mean.
Okay, so yes. Only 3G yes. can adequately transmit.
Yes,
only 3G.
Yes, sir.
So, but if you combine 3G and 2G, the combination of 3G and 2G gave you 50%.
Yes, sir.
So, if it's only 3G, it may be lower than that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, the 3G, the polling units that fell under 3G coverage, let's just say the stations that had 3G coverage came to about 50%.
Okay, 50%.
Yes.
All right.
On the 2G, there were others that also had 2G, but they had only 2G, no 3G coverage at all.
Okay. Yes. Now I can hear somebody saying, what about 4G?
4G is usually where you have 3G only. Yeah.
It's only where you have 3G only?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
So it basically comes to the same thing?
It comes to something. Yes,
he's saying that 4G is only available where you have 3G, and you have 3G only in 50%. So yes, it's saying the same thing. So we'll move on to the next question. The next question was to do with hacking. That's what he said.
Yes, sir. The question is whether it is possible to hack this. I'm sure it's open knowledge to all here that there is no system that is safe from hacking. You can do your best to secure it, but no system is 100% hack-free. I'm sure members will have read about the elections in US in 2016, and there is widespread belief that that election was hacked by the Russians. Every day you read about hackers breaking into banks, insurance companies, travel industry, and all sorts of industries. So hacking is a possibility always, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. I think next question came, do you remember? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, there is the third question refers to data that is captured offline in an unserved area, moved to a served area to upload. Yes, this is possible. It's possible that an area that is not covered, you could record it and then physically move to some other location, but you can't guarantee this kind of movement. It doesn't compare with direct transmission.
It doesn't what?
It doesn't compare with direct transmission from the site, from the source.
It doesn't compare with direct transmission?
From the source.
If you have to move somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just wanted to be clear. Next question.
Okay, so there you have it. That's in the House of Reps, as you knew, as you know, you saw Speaker Gbajabiamila there, and it's a much different house. But there you are in the House of Representatives. But let me introduce my guests. That is in-studio guest, lawyer and public affairs analyst, Mr. Monday Onyekachi Ubani. Thank you very much for coming on. Oh, I beg your pardon. Pardon me, because I've done it once.
It's all right.
Dr. Monday Onyekachi Ubani. There you go. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Give me your impressions on what we're talking about here. It's been, it seems that, they finished with it in the Senate, and now it's come to the House of Reps for concurrence, and now we just saw there in the live session that they had invited in the NCC, National Communications Commission, to come and advise them on those on the nerdy aspects of it. 2G, 3G, 4G, or 5G. So it looks like, well, the official from NCC there was saying that between 2 and, well, it first of all said that with 3G, 50% coverage. So I imagine it'll be slightly more with 3 and 2G when they combine together. The question about 4 or 5G is another matter. Give me your own impressions on all of this.
Thank you, Yori. I see this as drama. It's like we have forgotten where we are coming from. Our electoral process has not engineered fairness, has not engineered confidence on the people that actually go out to cast their votes. And we are saying we should take a step to really tinker with our electoral framework in order to instill confidence and begin to actually elect leaders that will run Nigeria, proficiently. So we got to this stage of electronics, voting and electronic transfer of results. So where we are now is that both houses agreed. That is a particular clause which says that INEC may transmit the result of an election electronically where and when practicable. That is what is there. In other words, there's going to be a manual at the same time where it is practicable to use electronics to transmit results and all that. It's there. Only for Nigerians to begin to hear that there is an intention to tinker with that particular clause and alter it in a manner that does not reflect the wishes of the people. And people were saying it only for the Senate President to call Nigerians names for that assertion. But you and I saw what happened in the Senate yesterday. When they came, somebody now stood up and said there is an amendment. And what is amendment? That you now have to transmit, subject to affirmation by NCC, and approval by the National Assembly. Where is that one done in the world? Clearly to the provisions of the Constitution of 1999. What does the Constitution say? The issue of conducting election, mode and processes and procedure is clearly within the preserve of INEC. And it does not share that authority with anybody. Why would you not want to subject INEC's authority to conduct election with another external body, which runs contrary to the provisions of the Constitution?
Let me find out if this interpretation that you take is indeed accurate, by which I mean the Senate spokesman, Senator Ajibola Bashiru, Dr. Bashiru, now joins us.
He's a doctor of law.
Joins us remotely. Good morning, Dr. Bashiru.
Yeah, good morning, Yori.
Thank you very much for joining us. Would you, what is the situation as regards the Senate's position on what is becoming something of a contentious matter about whether to transmit or not to transmit electronically?
First and foremost,
yes, Dr. Bashiru, we can see you, we have you, and we can hear you too.
First and foremost, I don't think there is any contention if a democratic process is respected by Nigerians, particularly those of them that claim to be activists, and those of them that claim to be human rights activists. Yesterday, at the plenary of the Senate, there was an issue about what is the appropriate wording for subsection 3 of section 52. The original recommendation by the INEC committee, headed by Senator Kabiru Gaya, was that INEC may transmit election results where and when practicable. But some of us are of the opinion that that is giving a rather vague, nebulous, and unbridled discretion to INEC, and then there is no definitive determination as to when, where it will be used. Then how do you determine practicability? The issue of transmission of results border on whether there is even technological ability to be able to do so. As of today, the institution that is recognized and is a national institution is the NCC, that have the capability to bring up certification as to whether there is such technological capability. So when I heard what Mr. Ubani was saying, that Constitution give independence to INEC, yes, nobody is contesting that. We have read Section 78. If that is the case, then there is no need for National Assembly to even make electoral act stipulating mode of voting, mode of selection of candidates, period for election, and so on and so forth. Section 4 of the Constitution gives the National Assembly power to make law for good government of the country, and that includes making law for the mode of election. There's a difference between mode of election and the actual conduct of the election. There is no provision in the Constitution that turns INEC to be the be-all and end-all, to say that they are the one that will determine how elections to be conducted, what to be conducted, how to be conducted. There should be a legal framework. So the issue of whether electronic transfer of voting is within the province of the power of the National Assembly by Section 4, and we challenge anybody beyond making statements that are political. Let them go to court and challenge the competence and the violence of National Assembly to so make necessary provision.
Okay.
What we believe, and you can see even at the House of Rep, they have to call NCC because they want information as to the network coverage before you take a decision on what will affect the credibility, the veracity, and the integrity of our electoral process. We cannot allow ourselves to be blackmailed, and if people have issues about constitutionality, the separation of power, everybody is free to approach the court to challenge the decision of National Assembly, and we will abide by whatever decision. But rather than not going to public opinion and be peddling what is not granted in law is not acceptable.
Okay. Let me ask Barrister Ubani if that is a satisfactory explanation, because you based your comment on the Constitution is very clear. Dr. Bashiru also, is also leaning on that same Constitution.
I'm very shocked, at the utterances of Senator Bashiru, because he's a PhD holder.
You are free to be shocked.
No, I'm totally shocked, and also the language that we can go to court. You see, it's a sign of arrogance.
Yes,
for
you can
those,
go to court. That's what
the people we
elect,
elect, sometimes when they use certain language, they don't even care, and that is.
Dr. Bashiru, I'll come straight back to you. I'll come straight back to you, Dr. Bashiru.
I'll come back to you. Just listen. I listen to you.
Dr. Bashiru,
clearly,
I'll come back straight to you.
It's clearly a sign of arrogance by our political office holders. When they take some decisions and then you now point out that, there is something incorrect about it, and they say you can go to court. People come and misinform and all that. They intimidate you. And these are people who are supposed to have some level of language, that shows humility. There is no humility in this answer. I'm saying, under the Constitution, which he knows, Section 78, even certain schedule of the Constitution says, in the conduct of election, is INEC that has the power to determine the mode of the election. It doesn't subject itself to any authority. Let me just do this.
Now you are now saying it's not in contestation.
No, so why is it now? Why are you now subjecting that particular mode of electoral process now to the affirmation of NCC and approval by the National Assembly? Why are you bringing National Assembly in electoral process that is clearly in the hand of INEC? Is it a right thing for you to do? And I said earlier, remember 2018. Remember 2018? Okay. There was a passage of this electoral bill. And when it was taken to the president for signature, why he refused to sign was, according to him, there's an interference in that electoral bill with the power of INEC in rescheduling and doing the timetable of the election. That was one of the reasons why the president could not sign that particular decision. What have they just done now? That INEC now will now be subject to affirmation by NCC and approval before they go ahead and conduct an election of transmitting the result, which is the most important. Let me just tell you what these guys want to do, sir. Let me just finish this statement. Issue of collation is critical in our electoral process, and this is where these guys have always used our electoral process, to play, football. They manipulate, they do all manner of things in order to, give an incorrect assertion of the people's mandate. Now we are taking care of it by saying electronic voting. Also in transmission, it was used in Edo, it was used in Ondo. Now, why are you now changing the will of the people by now telling me that you have to subject it to the approval of NCC?
Okay, at this stage,
and approval of National Assembly.
I've got to go back to the senator. Senator, could you clarify for us, please?
I find it very funny that somebody who is not elected, who is not representing any known constituency under our law, will be talking about the will of the people. The will of the Nigerian people as of today, under the ground law, which is the 1999 Constitution, is the National Assembly, the representation of representation. Whether you agree that the election is valid or not valid, we're elected by constituencies. We're elected by Nigerians to represent them. So the maximum expression of representation is the National Assembly. That's first. Then secondly, I don't think it is just blackmail to say that if we challenge you to go to court, does not mean that we are arrogant. We are confident that what we have done is within the ambit of our constitutional provision, and that's why we ask you to go to court. So you cannot constitute yourself as to Supreme Court in your chamber or on the national television to talk about legality. What I say, and I stand to be corrected, is that National Assembly has the power to make law as to the mode of election, procedure of election, and as to other processes. And that is why, as of yesterday, National Assembly now gives legal imprimatur to card reader. Before, card reader was being used as a matter of guideline by INEC. But of course, we know what Supreme Court said in Wike and Pisa side when they had to decide whether there was overvoting because there was a shortfall in the accredited voters using the card reader and the voters register. The Supreme Court said card reader was not recognized under legislation. As at yesterday, the law that we have passed, we have now recognized card reader. Is that an interference with what INEC should do? And of course, we have also redefined what is overvoting in reference to accreditation and not to the total number of register, which was the previous provision of the law. So if you look at the Electoral Act, you look at the Constitution, there is no doubt that when it comes to framework of legal regime to do election, it is within the context of the power and legislative competence of the National Assembly. And I stand to be corrected, and whatever judgment anybody obtains in the National Assembly as law-abiding institution will abide by it. But it's not just enough for us to sit down in the confines of our offices to say this is legal, this is not legal, this is constitutional, it's not constitutional. And even the provisions that he is supporting that says that INEC can transmit election results where and when is practicable. It is also going to be by virtue of a legislation by National Assembly. It's also a matter of giving power and discretion to INEC. It's also
Senator,
to go by the logic of the argument, interference with INEC. We just have said INEC should be left to go on his own and be doing whatever he likes. But
Senator
then,
Bashiru,
as a student of administrative law, I know that discretion must not be unfettered. At the same time, you must have reasonable tests to know whether that will be in the larger interest of the public.
Senator Bashiru, what you just said addresses impact. I beg your pardon, Senator Bashiru, for interrupting you. Could I get a word in, please, Senator Bashiru? What you said in part addresses what the inquiry I was going to make next, which is that how about the point that he's made that that INEC has exclusive, jurisdiction and control over how they are going to go about this election, and that what the National Assembly is going about now, it looks like it's interfering with that, carte blanche of INEC.
Absolutely. That is no lawyer can say that National Assembly has no power to prescribe by law mode of election. In fact, the whole essence of Electoral Act, if you look at what are the content of Electoral Acts that you have already been having, it will prescribe what are the powers and function of INEC. It will prescribe the mode of registration of voters. It will prescribe mode of conduct of election, which is the open secret ballot that have been adopted under the present system. It will adopt the mode of accreditation of voters. It will also create offences for conduct of election. It will also say the grounds for election petition, grant to challenge election, and so on and so forth. That is the scheme of Electoral Act. Unless you are saying that INEC, having just been created, they can go on its own to determine the mode and manner of election without a legislation by National Assembly. If that were the case, then we should not be here even talking about legality or otherwise of a particular section. We should be talking about legality and constitutionality of the entire Electoral Act. It will mean that INEC, having been created, it means that by virtue of Section 78, he has the power to make his own law and to abide by his own law. That's certainly not in contemplation of Section 4 and Section 78 of the Constitution. What I know that 78 is about is that when the legal regime has been settled, then the National Assembly cannot give them directives as to implementation and how to implement that law. In the context of Section 53, Subsection 2, INEC is given discretion to transmit election results, but subject to two important conditions. One, certification of network coverage and security by NCC, and secondly, approval that certification has been done by the NCC. That is not there.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Bashiru. Let's go back to the House of Reps now, where they are actually moving a motion, so we don't miss that. Then we come back to the studio.
Can you give me the summary of what we did yesterday? What about the copy of what we did?
To say anything, we'll go in there. So, thank you for staying with us.
I need to reply to some of the things he said.
Yes, because he's made some clarifications.
But he didn't clarify anything. You know, there's one statement he made that they are the ones elected and all that. And again, as I said earlier,
you find that particularly humble.
It's not. There's no humility in that. You know, you see, you are elected to represent us, and there must be a feedback mechanism from the people you have elected. There was a public hearing of this particular bill, and a majority of Nigerians were of the opinion that this is what they actually want. And if you have a house that is actually humble enough, and then understand that they are elected to represent certain person, there are things you go and do there, and then there are things you want to defend.
Well, I don't think it's a matter of humility; it's a matter of duty.
It's a duty that is imposed by law. As I said earlier, in enactment of a law, you must not contravene the ground norm. That is the Constitution, even though you are given power by the Constitution itself to make law. Now, the Constitution itself has specified that in that operational capacity of INEC, no other body should interfere in the process. It's there. It's a PhD holder in law. He knows it. And that section says in their operational capacity, in what they would do in terms of mode and organization of an electoral process, INEC cannot in any way be...
Let me hear what they're saying in the House now.
Okay.
I think we've got to the stage where they're saying something in the House of Representatives.
You did not, but we did. Thank you. 55. 55. 55. 56. 56.
No. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
57.
Point of order.
What's the point of order?
Mr. Mr. Chairman,
continue to run the thing alone.
Honorable colleagues, please, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I remember My name is Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of Gojibra Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, in the committee of the whole yesterday, we were doing considerations, and when we came to 52, the chairman made some rulings which made some members call for division. Apparently, we couldn't get to that point, and then there wasn't even a ruling or a decision or a vote. Just a moment, sir. You can have your day. There wasn't a decision regarding what we were discussing and voting on were the amendments. We had not even gone to what the clause says in the recommendation. But more importantly, the point of fighting INEC and NCC was for a more enlightened understanding by members, based on which the House will come to a decision on that. I wouldn't think that it will do us any favor or we gain any advantage if we begin to presume that we have voted on 52. I think it is proper to do things right. We were only voting on the amendments, and the amendments were regarding electronic transmission and then manual and electronic transmission. The recommendation from the committee was that INEC should apply their discretion in the use of any method. If we are saying that we've resolved on that, we would require some enlightenment from the chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minority Leader. Maybe I want to recall to you, I don't know who moved a motion yesterday on the floor asking for division. There wasn't any motion taken like that. There wasn't. There wasn't. I said there wasn't any motion on that, and I insist there wasn't any motion like that. No, please. You see, if he has nobody, and you can go and take the clip again. I said nobody moved a motion on the floor here yesterday for division. So you are trying to mislead the House, and don't mislead the House. You are a leader.
No.
I beg of you,
Mr. Chairman.
No, you are trying to mislead the House. Please, you do not have the floor. Please, control yourself. Control yourself. I said control yourself. There wasn't a motion on the. I said there wasn't a motion, and I insist there wasn't a motion for division. 2. Well, I don't want you to repeat it again because that was the position. He is saying that, Boma, I want you to be guided. We have our rules here. You do not have that power. I'm guiding you. Thank you. Well, I want to. I am not saying I'm not about the division. If the point reaches for that.
Very wrong to say mutum Batman. Point of order. You call somebody Batman? Point of order. Chairman. You call somebody Batman.
As you can, as we can see, it looks like they're trying to. A picture is worth 1,000 words, so they're trying to sort something out. Let me just leave it like that. I'm trying to sort something out. Dr. Bashiru, you still with us? Okay. I was wondering if Dr. Bashiru was still with us.
I'm with you.
Aha. Okay. So you saw that. It looks like there's still a matter of how to arrive at some sort of understanding as to what exactly is the position right now. You can see there's dissension even among the honorable members there. So I don't know this whole matter, because the point that the deputy minority leader brought up, it was going along the lines of INEC has, the discretion after the laws have been set and the regulations have been made. It is then for INEC to proceed as it sees fit. That is the assertion that was made by the deputy minority leader. Are you on all fours with that, sir?
I don't agree with the minority leader. I will refer you to item 22 on the exclusive legislative list. From the scheme of legislative powers in the country, the National Assembly has the power to make law exclusively on matters in the exclusive legislative list. Item 22 talk about election of the president, vice president, governor, and any other offices created by the Constitution. And that squarely conduct of election, including the mode, means comes squarely within the competence of the National Assembly, irrespective of what anybody say. The section 78 that is being over-labeled by some analysts only talk about INEC having competence to conduct election. You can conduct election, but there must be a legal framework to conduct that election. The legal framework is squarely within the competence of the National Assembly, and that is why. Is it the beauty
and his contention, even though he can speak for himself, he's right beside me, his contention is that the goings on in the National Assembly would appear to be, emasculating INEC, the way he sees it. But you're here.
I don't think it is emasculating INEC.
Yeah,
it is
go ahead.
He agrees. Distinguished senator.
Could we hear what his issue is, so that you could also help us with it? Go ahead,
but he's still talking. Distinguished senator agrees that the mode and the manner of conduct of election lies squarely within the powers and parameter of INEC. He agrees with that.
After setting out the roadmap, the regulations, and
you also agree that in legislation, you do not in any way take away that power to conduct that election, the mode and process from INEC, because the Constitution says in that mode, in that operational capacity, it shares it with no other body. It's there in the Constitution. So when you now say subject to National Assembly's approval, you have now taken away that discretion that has given to that particular umpire. That is what he has failed to understand. And that is what is actually brewing even the crisis now in House of Reps, because the power cannot be shared with National Assembly. They cannot be the one making the law, at the same time giving themselves power to now begin to share power with INEC. The distinguished senator knows it, that what is done there yesterday was a wrong thing, is unconstitutional. It is not legal. He knows it.
Okay, let me hear the senator. Please, Senator, go ahead, sir. Continue, Senator.
I should go to court. This idea of ding-dong about what that has been done is constitutional or not. It's not the first time people will have different opinion as to position taken by National Assembly. The arbiter in all this is not by making statements on the TVC, talking with Yori Folani. It's by challenging the competence in the law courts, and that is where there is separation of power, there is independence of judiciary. What I'm saying is that based on our own understanding of the law and our power under item 22, what we have done is within the ambit of the law. So if anybody has a contrary opinion, it is not about arrogance, it's not about lack of humility. It's just that the next way to do is to challenge the virulence of our
Senator,
in the court.
Senator, I've got to bring in a viewer now. I beg your pardon. I know there's a lag. But Senator, I've got to bring in a viewer now. Maybe you could listen to this viewer. I know there's a lag, is why you couldn't hear me immediately. Thank you very much, Senator. Good morning, Mr. George.
Uncle Yori, good morning and greetings to all the guests there.
Yeah.
Uncle Yori, I was not expecting anything less than what we are seeing now about this deal. This is what happens when you ask a thief that stole your goods to help you look for it. You won't ever find that thing. These legislators that we have, Uncle Yori, I can tell you more than 90% of them did not get there through credible elections. And this
I think, Yori, please, I will have to excuse myself from this
method of transmission
somebody's credibility.
One moment, please, Senator Bashiru. One moment, please. Mr. George, you understand, of course, you know, as he said, I don't think you meant to attack him individually, but maybe you could sort of modulate, you know, how you would, you know, put your thoughts across clearly without omitting anything, so that he doesn't feel insulted. Mr. George?
Yeah, but
Mr. George? Oh, he's gone. Okay. Well, okay. Now, how would you address the question, Senator Bashiru, of those in the public space who, as you had said, might not necessarily be qualified in law to fully understand these matters, and who might also neither be elected? How would you address those people who say that this whole thing is not, it doesn't seem to have the sincerity of purpose, which is what they understood and understand from the provision that we're talking about, sincerity of purpose. Let it go straight.
Of course, there's nothing I can do about it. We have 180 million Nigerians. They are entitled, people are entitled to their opinion. But when you begin to impute improper motives into actions without any basis for doing so, it is very worrisome. I stand to say that for myself, I'm elected from Osun Central. My opponents, none of them challenged my election, even in the tribunal.
Okay.
So for somebody to say that we are acting on stolen mandates, it is aberrant and it is beyond the question. Of course, you cannot have a country of 180 million and expect all of us to agree. Even in the National Assembly, Senate of 109 people, we have divergent opinion expressed almost on a daily basis.
Okay, one moment, please, Senator. One moment, because I want to bring in Jerry. I know there's a lag. I'm so sorry about the lag. One moment, please, Senator. Jerry Onyekachi, good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead, quickly, please.
Good morning. I thank you for this program. I tried to follow up the decision from the Senate House yesterday, and then based on what the Senator said, I thank Dr. Onyekachi Ubani for his clear analysis, try to bring him up to speed of Constitution. I also understand those of you that have the interest of Nigeria abroad, especially Dr. Onyekachi Ubani and you negotiate. We know that these people, they have decided to manhandle us in their own way. And then maybe you hold a bull by the horn, you must follow what we say. But where there's no problem, I want you people to keep telling them, even though when you interpret the law, try to bring it to the speed of what the Constitution says. He is telling you that that is what the Senate says. Now we have agreed, no problem. We don't know what is happening in this country, but one thing we are sure is that God will not take away our life. We will witness what God has decided to do for us in this country. Onyekachi Ubani, keep the work going, and I want you to keep your job going. Let us be patient with them.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. Dr. Ubani, the situation that we have here, the senator has explained that, look, there are as many opinions, there can be as many opinions as there are citizens in Nigeria. Yeah. However, in order to bring the thing to some semblance of order, we have to proceed the way we're going, and maybe it's not particularly helpful.
No, it's not.
For them in a conversation like this.
It's not helpful for us
to be told that their mandates are suspect.
No, we don't. Well, I mean, I didn't subscribe to that. But the most important thing is that in governance, you must reflect, what the people actually want. Listen to them. Hear them out, because that is the primary purpose of governance. You were elected, it's a social contract, we all of us cannot be in leaders. He was attacking me that I'm not a representative. I cannot be. He is there now representing me. let's assume, then he must also take a feedback, you know, from me. What is my feeling concerning this? I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
If you do any referendum today about this particular position of this law, this clause, 90% of Nigerians will want a situation where the election will be transmitted electronically without any interference by NCC or National Assembly.
Most people would go with it.
They want INEC, you know, because they did it in Ondo, they did it in Edo.
Okay.
So why are you now stopping it and giving me a reason why it's not possible?
Let me quickly hear from Ismail. Morning. Good morning, Ismail.
Good morning, Sir Fiori.
Good morning. Go ahead, please. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ilorin.
Okay, Ilorin.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead quickly, please. We're running out of time.
Please, I don't understand the reason why our lawmakers rejected the stamping of the results electronically. The cogent reason has not yet been given to the people. So I want to have the civil senator Ajibola Bashiru.
Okay.
Why is the rejection?
If indeed there has been a rejection. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Now, Senator Bashiru, that seems to be a fine question to sort of end it on from your end. Why has, if indeed that is the case, why have legislators...
So I want to have the civil senator Ajibola Bashiru.
Okay.
Why is the rejection?
If indeed there has been a rejection. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Now, Senator Bashiru, that seems to be a fine question to sort of end it on from your end. Why has, if indeed that is the case, why have legislators, you know, rejected this transmission?
There was no rejection. You see, a political party went to the media, even when we were sitting yesterday, to sell lies to the Nigerian public that APC legislators refuse electoral transmission results because of failure in 2023 election. It's unfortunate that issues of this magnitude can be made to the basis for political campaign by any political organization. We agree that there must be transmission. The point of divergence is that what should be the appropriate wordings of Section 52, Subsection 3, while the recommendation initially by Kabiru Gaya panel, meanwhile Kabiru Gaya is a member of APC, so nobody should say that it was from PDP, was that they should do it where and when practicable. And I say practically, as a legal practitioner, I don't see how I can even agree to a clause that is so nebulous, indistinct, and very vague as where and when practicable. For me, I cannot vote in support of that language.
Senator Ajibola Bashiru. Senator Ajibola Bashiru, thank you very much for making time for us this morning. We've run out of time, but that last point, I think, addresses Ismail's question that, no, on the contrary, you actually have agreed that there should be electronic transmission wherever practicable. Thank you very much for your time, sir. And we'll be hearing maybe the larger picture into more detail as time goes on. Once again, thank you very much for coming on, Senator. Okay. So really, in closing from here, it's an ongoing matter there in the House of Representatives right now, as you know, even though the match that we were able to stay with them.
You could see the confusion,
I wouldn't call it that. They were trying to sort matters out. You use the word.
It's a family affair. So the point, sir.
Yes,
is because we have to wait. Maybe, you know, let's wait. You know, maybe there would be another harmonization committee that had to actually agree on this. You know, we have all agreed for electronic result to be transmitted electronically, you know, but don't subject that power to any other body. Let INEC be the one to decide. You know, wherever it's practicable, there'll be manual, there will be electronic. And that's where it's been done before. So why are we now taking ourselves backwards to 15th century?
Let's leave it there.
Let's move forward. Let's move forward.
We've got to leave it there, and then we'll take you over to the House of Representatives for the live broadcast of happenings there. Thank you very much once again.
It's my pleasure, sir.
Dr. Onyekachi Ubani. Chairperson, as a matter of fact, just in case you didn't know, MBA section on public interest and development law. Thank you once again.
Thank you, my pleasure, sir.
Okay, so our regards to Dr. Bashiru, and now we'll hand you over to the National Assembly to continue watching the live proceedings.
62. Thank you. That's very good cooperation. 63. Observation. 63. Amendment. 63 amendments, sir.
Megari.